You're listening to the Legion of Reason.
Well, hello once again to the Legion of Reason diversion. This is episode 207, another Potpourri episode. We have another number of stories for you today, including a new clinic that gives cryotherapy. In other words, blast cold nitrogen at you. We take a look and see what possible benefits there might be or not. There's more Black Lives Matter nonsense that is actually an export, not from the U.S., but from Canada this time, to the U.S. And bad boy John McEnroe is in hot water with feminists because of, well, saying something that's actually pretty true. But first, we're going to talk about the Patriotic Unity Mega Festival. I kid you not, that's what this was called. It's basically an anti-Muslim rally that took place in downtown Calgary on Sunday. And I went down there to observe, and it was pretty boring. You know, it's Canada, right? So Christine joins me. Twyla is not here. She's off in Europe on a cruise, Skeptic cruise. We'll have to talk to her about that when she gets back. So how are you doing, Chris?
Pretty good, and you?
Very good. I finished my Lego Saturn V rocket.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. It's up on in my man cave,
Nice.
Above the TV, and yeah, it's actually surprisingly big. But it was a lot of fun to build. I could see it's very addicting to build Lego models. Like it's like a Fabergé habit. One egg a week. Anyway,
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, it is fun. It is fun. And don't make a mistake and have to go back and retrace your steps, because it's really, really hard without destroying half of it to get back to where you were to fix it. But yeah, and of course we're doing this a little early because this weekend is long weekend in Canada, and next week, of course, is July 4th for my American side. So happy Canada Day, a little early, and happy 4th of July. Blow up a little piece of landscape for me with some big firecracker bombs, if you will. So I was at this rally on Sunday. It was started at 1:00, and this is a group that's called the Worldwide Coalition Against Islam, and
Wow.
it's associated with. There's a bunch of chapters all over the world, but it's associated here in Calgary with Artur Pawlowski. Now, we've talked about him at length. The anti-LGBT person who's always preaching at Pride. Here, Pride's coming up again. I'm sure he'll be there. The street preacher. He was out again hawking his bullshit with for free hot dogs or whatever. I don't. It's pretty tawdry stuff.
Well, what's the connection there? Like, is it like his?
He's strongly anti-Islam.
Well, I know that, but is it like a connection with the church, or is he like a member of that group, or like?
Well, on their Facebook page, the Calgary chapter of this WCAI, there's a lot of postings that are shared from Artur Pawlowski's page. So the association is fairly. He was the one who was trying to. I believe he was trying to get them to get a permit for the rally, which they didn't get, as far as I know, but they ended up doing it anyway. I don't agree with the city not giving a permit to them, despite what their message is. They're willing to give Artur Pawlowski a permit, he's
true.
very much anti-gay
spewing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why block at this? I don't know. But CAFA, this Cosmopolitan Anti-Fascists, which is kind of like Antifa light as far as I can tell, were instrumental in making sure that they didn't get a permit. I don't agree with that. It's better to have these bad views out in the open than fester underground, where they can slowly grow and take root.
Yeah.
I don't like that. And so I would say, I don't know what, from my pictures, I could probably guess something like 30 people that were, maybe not even, that were on the WCAI side. And I'm just going to put up the pictures on YouTube. And people who aren't on YouTube, you should do that. Go to the YouTube page, and you can see these as well. Let's see here. Let's put them up. Chrome window. Yes, there we go. So there's quite a police presence. There was, they were worried about clashes between CAFA and WCAI, and so they made a cordon around the rally members. Almost as many police as there were rally members.
Wow. Huh.
So that that's fine. They were professional and did a great job. I thanked them myself, actually. And
yeah.
There's a bunch of, let's see if I can get a wide shot. They had bullhorns, but it didn't matter. They were being shouted down. This is the wide shot, and it's hard to tell from here, but it wasn't a very big rally. It was pretty tame. There were a few little things afterwards. There were members of WCAI and either CAFA or the crowd. There was one Muslim who was there that he was in a blue shirt. I'll see if I can find a picture of him here. There he is. He was arguing Islam with these wingnuts. Let's call them what they are. They're wingnuts. They're bigots and
Where
wingnuts.
is he? Okay,
if
I'm
you
a
look
little behind on that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it takes a while to update.
Yeah.
So there they are, arguing about. This guy was talking about that there was bestiality in the Quran, and I'm not aware of anything, but who knows? There's actually something similar in the Bible, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just basically a lot of yelling, and the police didn't have to do any intervening, which is good. But I have a couple of interviews from some of these cosmopolitan anti-fascists. Doesn't it make it sound like upper class activists?
I don't know what to make of that.
They're so Cosmo.
Well, they originated out of New York, according to their Facebook page.
Well, that's very Cosmo. Right?
Yeah, I guess.
This is Cowtown.
Well, it's a branch here, so I don't know. We're not.
Yeah, I'm sure it is just a small branch.
We're cosmopolitan.
Oh, give me a break.
Well, we're not. I don't know. We've got a lot of. I don't know. There's lots of people from around the world here working in the oil industry, so we're not like, the city centers aren't hick towns. We have our elements, but
Yeah.
We have people coming up here to go to Banff for skiing and tourism, and don't slag us quite that much, but
yeah, I'm not so sure, but it's Cowtown, right? I mean, this is it's not as country music as you would think. It used to be quite a bit, but it's not.
Yeah.
So I do have a couple of clips I want to play here that I talked to some of these cosmopolitan anti-fascists, and this is first one is with a guy who had his face masked with a bandana, and I was asking him some questions about what he was doing there and about free speech and all that. So here we go. Whoops.
In the city of Calgary, there are 9 organized hate groups. And whether it's one or whether it's 3 of them here today, it's kind of tough to tell because they seem to switch around a lot. But we're here today to oppose racism and oppose fascism in our city. We're here to shut down misinformation, shut down hateful speech, and we're here to show this isn't the representation of Calgary that most Calgarians would want to see.
Well, it sounds like a lofty goal, but you have your face hidden by a bandana here. Why do you do that?
I have my face hidden for anonymity because I don't want to be found out by these fascists. In 2010, the fascists killed a man named Mark Mariani in the streets of Calgary. Look that up if you don't believe me. It happened. It was done by Robert Rittmeyer and Tyler Stirrup, members of the Blood and Honor Gang, who this group that we're standing up to today, called WCI, has ties with. We have screenshots of ties with Kyle McKee talking to Karen Draper and planning stuff out. So right now we are dealing with a possibility of a neo-Nazi hate group in our city who finds people, goes into their houses and beats them up. A few years back, a comrade named Jason Devine and his wife were in their house. Their door was busted down and they were beat with hammers trying to protect their children in their house. There's a reason we wear masks, and the reason is strong. We're always going to wear a mask. It's not illegal to do so, and we will always wear a mask.
Okay, so with respect to free speech, is this what you're seeing here allowed under that umbrella?
Free speech has a large umbrella, and under that umbrella, unfortunately, there's a gray area that hate speech and free speech can kind of exist, commingle there, and it's an unfortunate gray area that makes it a little bit tricky here. We do believe that any sort of hate speech is crossing the line, and even if it's considered free speech, hate speech is not allowed. I don't have the best explanation for that, but we don't agree with hate speech being disguised as free speech. That's the best way to put it.
Well, what defines free speech then? Is there a hard definition that you can use? Because it seems to me that it's, like you said, it's a gray area.
It's a gray area.
So,
yeah.
So from a legal perspective, I mean, I'm assuming you're not a lawyer, but
I'm not a lawyer.
What you're doing here as well is free speech. You're applying yours.
I do believe in free speech because we live in a democratic society, and we do have the right to free speech. And truthfully, I actually believe in their right to free speech. The haters up on the platform right now, I actually stand for their free speech as well. What I don't stand for is the misinformation that they're spreading. It's not about them voicing their hate. They're showing themselves for who they are. That actually, in a way, helps us. Yeah,
so he's, not exactly Antifa. I mean, they're against it, but they're against what's being said.
Yeah. Well, and that's a right thing to do, is to go on counter-protest peacefully.
Yeah.
So that's fine, yeah. And he's got the right attitude. They're making asses of themselves. Let them go ahead and do it. And that's and he said he'd stand up for their free speech or whatever, right?
Yeah, it's like what Louis Brandeis said. Sunlight's the best disinfectant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you don't want to drive this kind of thing underground.
Yeah.
Which hate speech laws do that, and that's why they are. It's one of the reasons that they're a problem. Mm-hmm. The other, of course, is what constitutes hate speech. I mean, one person's hate speech is another person's free speech. So, offense is it's basically comes back to the same problem that I have with blasphemy laws, in that offense is the test. It's the litmus test, and everybody seems to be offended today.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess I'd like to check into this group's history a little bit more to see if they've had episodes of free, like hate speech here in Canada, in the sense of, actually calling for violence against Muslims or brown people, or however you want to phrase it, right? Like, I think you and I know the difference between, a race and a religion, or whatever you want to say, or an ethnicity and a religion, but clearly some people are unclear in this concept, right?
Yeah, definitely true. And this group invited a speaker to come up, not CAFA, it was WCAI. They invited a guy named Wild Bill Finley.
Oh, yeah.
And he was arrested at the border.
Yeah.
And he was detained for importing hate speech materials. Why don't they just turn him away? I don't like that. Who did they get to judge whether something is hate speech? Just turn him away at the border. You don't he's not a Canadian. You don't have to let him in. They require no reason to say adios. Thanks for trying.
Yeah, I guess. Although if he'd showed up, I think I would have had to have gone down there to myself, right?
You've heard of this guy before, have you?
Oh, he's a nut. Absolute nut. Yeah. I forget exactly what he is. Some, American small-time, I don't know, politician of some sort, right? And has put out a few like PRs or PSRs or whatever you want to call them, what do you call them? Promos, basically.
Okay.
He's endorsing his campaigns or whatever the hell, and they're just absolutely nutty, right? Super Christian and right wing and gun-toting, flag-bearing.
Basically, Ted Nugent style.
Yeah, exactly.
Stuff,
Yeah. So it would have been, quite the performance to see him here, frankly. But
Oh yeah, that would have been. You wouldn't have heard it. It was, you couldn't hear anything over the din.
Okay. Yeah.
It was quite loud, and that's fine. That's it's not like you don't know what these people are saying. You know what they're saying.
Yeah.
It's just a show.
Yeah.
It's they're trying to grab a headline. It gets them some exposure, and they think it does them good, which it might gain them some new members, but they'd already have to be of that bent.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be convincing anybody that wasn't already convinced.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And of course, there's a strong religious component with this fundamentalist. There was a Jesus Saves thing. Is it in this picture? I'm not sure if it's in this picture or not. No, it's not. I think it's in the panoramic one that I took. You can't really. Somebody's in the way. Unfortunately, it's a little. I don't know. It's a cart for a bicycle and has Jesus Saves on it, and it's like. I'm sorry, I gotta say it. How American.
Yeah.
Sorry, American listeners.
I have a couple of questions, and let me. So the first one is: did you follow up on the names that the gentleman?
I just did
provided?
one of them. One of them I did, and that was the Robert Fittmeyer.
Okay.
No, what was it? What's his name? Let me see if I can pull. I had it up, so it was. Where was it? Oh, here we go. I'm sorry, I got to say it. You've got the audio going on there.
Yeah.
Sorry, my American listeners. You got to kill that.
I have a couple of questions.
Did you, or did I start it?
So first you.
That was on my end. My bad.
Ha ha.
I did. It was. One of them was a murder that happened on the streets of Calgary, and it was just a random event. It wasn't anything to do with the person's, being a part of the anti-fascism or whatever. It was just a random event, a random murder. I'm not sure about the other one with the home invasion.
Okay.
I suspect it's probably similar too. It's not to do. It wasn't motivated. I don't think by. I can't speak to the second one, but the first one I can. It wasn't motivated by any membership with an opposing group.
What was the motivation?
They just said it was basically a random murder. Here we go.
Sounds kind of
neo-Nazi
sketchy.
Robert Reitmeyer. This was when he was appealing his murder conviction. He murdered Mark Mariani, and it was an unprovoked attack. That's what they called it. And it was just, who knows?
That's sketchy,
Well, they don't have a motivation for him, so.
Well, if he's neo-Nazi,
Oh yeah.
It's not entirely implausible what your interviewee was claiming then, right?
I don't know. I think that overblows the threat.
I remain agnostic on the claim then.
Yeah.
And my other question was, so there were the two groups, obviously, right? The anti-fascist and the haters. Now, of the proportion of those two groups relative to the just general people that were just not associated with Antifa, but just, not wanting to, challenging the haters?
Yeah, it was a lot larger.
Okay.
It was not any single group. Like there was this CAFA there that was the most visible.
Okay. Yeah.
But a lot, I encountered a number of people who just got together with some friends and came down and were showing their disdain for this rally.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought there'd be a pretty good representation of that.
Yeah, it was pretty good, but it wasn't exactly as if the city hall, the square in front of City Hall was filled or anything. It was, it was probably just as many people going for the free hot dogs at Artur Pawlowski's street church as there was.
Oh goodness!
At this thing, so not much. So it was fun. I mean, I got a nice sunburn, and one woman there had a picture of. She had it was a poster, but it was like one of those big news sheet things, big pads. And she had the different ones that she was displaying. It was she obviously put a lot of effort into this, writing in felt marker. One was showing that there's bad stuff in the Quran, but there's also bad stuff in the Bible. And that, of course, I would say, yeah, you're right. But these people, the WCAI, not bars, are religious people, and it would have been a little bit more of a slam against them, of course, which is the whole intent. Yeah. I thought that was a good one. So, Yep.
One of the signs that I saw in your series of photos: don't be anti-Muslim, be anti-ISIS. ISIS is an extremist group who cherry-pick verses from their holy book to justify their actions, just like other groups throughout history: KKK, the Crusades, the Salem witch trials, the Roman attack on Christians, and more. Don't let them win. I thought, interesting song.
Oh, that was the woman that.
Is that the one you were talking about?
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about. She had that she could see the newsprint. Pad, right. Yeah. I'm going to show that.
Flipboardy kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a pad, a newsprint pad.
Yeah.
So, that was one of the. I might have another one here. No, I think that was the only one I got. So it was a fun spectacle.
Did you have another interview clip to play?
I do. I don't know if it really adds anything, but I could play it anyway.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I was talking with somebody else here that and gave me some good ad. We talked about free speech, etc. Now, Antifa in the United States has been doing violence in response to something like this. What is your feelings on that?
Yeah, I think that the issue with the United States is that they're at such a state of economic, political, and social instability that violence is just the next inevitable step. When you have situations like that case on the bus where the white supremacist slashed two people's throats because they stood up in defense of a Muslim woman that one guy was insulting, I think that's a lot more indicative of the root of the violence. I think the violence that Antifa in the States is generally engaging in is more of a defensive violence against these alt-right and extremist groups.
I'm not sure that's the case in UC Berkeley when Milo Yiannopoulos was speaking. That seemed to be a bit more of going down to that location and instigating violence.
Yeah, and sometimes that happens too. I think it's because of the extreme situation in the States. That's where their political lines are being drawn. In Canada, we have the opportunity to start at a much more peaceful spot and to be able to build a anti-racist movement that might not need to reach those levels.
Okay, so what brought you down here today?
To say no to the grassroots organizing of fascism.
And one question I have, I'm an atheist. I don't know if you are or not. It doesn't matter. Do you feel that there's a big difference between anti-Islam and anti-Muslim? Do you get?
They are one and the same, and one thing we need to one of the main messages we want to get across, and one of the main ideas we want to bring into the mainstream is, like, when you see people like this, you have to realize Islamophobia is racism. The two can't be separated. They are one and the same.
But
Islam is not a race. Islam is an ideology.
Right, but the fact of the
Fist fights, riots.
Both. It's both. Islamism is certainly an ideology.
But to focus on it as an ideology is a little bit different, because ideology usually has a political connotation to it.
Right.
So when you say Islam is an ideology, that allows a lot more for the assessment of Muslim people as being more correlative to the extremist groups that you see in the Middle East, like ISIS, Al Qaeda, and these other groups. Which, it's funny that a lot of them did receive a lot of their initial training and funding and literature from the United States government. Right, but that is just an important distinction to make between the religion and then the ideological, weaponized version of the religion.
Not to mention, with them, it's so irrational, and that's part of the reason it's inseparable. Like, with them, we've heard them say things like, I don't hate Muslims, I just hate people who follow Islam, which that means the same thing.
Well, you know how much I like that word Islamophobia.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I don't like that word.
I just like to, sit them down to listen to Majid Nawaz. And, a few other people as well. But Majid Nawaz really cuts it to the core and explains things with great clarity about, how that shuts down discourse. And I would regard him as an expert. Would you?
Yeah, I think he's got a little bit of expertise there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say so. So that was my trip to downtown. I don't go downtown very often, actually.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah.
Well, you almost live downtown. Come on.
That's true, but I don't really have much cause to go downtown, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we can move on.
One more question.
What?
Did you take your drone?
No, I didn't. No, you wouldn't.
Could you do that?
Totally illegal. No way.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, what's illegal with a drone?
You can't. They have new guidelines now. They're kind of ridiculous, but it can't be within 50 meters of people.
Oh wow.
Yeah, something like that. The Transport Canada came down with a bunch of new guidelines. The ones that they had before that were reasonable, and I think they're getting a little bit silly with the new ones. Okay. And a lot of it is because of idiots. They take them out to airports or something stupid like that.
Yeah, or hover them over people's backyards.
Invasion of privacy is a big issue, but it's the answer. It's not going to stop anybody. No regulation is going to stop anybody from using a drone like that.
Well, yeah, in a public gathering like that, you'd think that it would be a little more in favor of freedom of the press, almost, so to speak, right?
It's a safety issue, So it is potentially possible to crash a drone into somebody and injure somebody.
Yeah, fair enough, yeah.
And the interesting thing is that, these batteries that are in there, they're such a high energy density that they're basically flying bombs.
Wow, okay. Alrighty, I didn't know
there is the possibility of a fire hazard with those batteries. I mean, and they're still trying to pack more higher energy density in these batteries, and there was one case where fire in a building was started with a crashed drone.
Wow. Okay.
So, it's the same thing with laptops. Laptops catching fire and. So it's a big safety issue. That's not the thing that they.
Well, laptops that catch fire are recalled.
Yeah, but if you injure somebody, you can't recall that.
I guess so. Yeah, but if these drones have set off a fire in a building, then one would think that would be recalled and new, I guess, standards.
Well, you report it. I mean,
as opposed to putting it on the consumer, right? Put it on the manufacturer.
I'd still be liable for it.
Yeah. Okay. Huh. So interesting.
Yeah. And it's supposed to have $1 million insurance, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
In case to own one of those things, or
to fly one? Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Nobody does, of course. I mean, that's a crazy
And what kind of policy would that be under, and how much would it cost you per year?
I don't know what the cost would be. There are companies that do supply that insurance, but I'm sure it's not cheap.
Fascinating. Wow.
Yeah, I looked into that a couple of years ago, but it's not. I haven't flown my drone in a while.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Partly because of the new regulations. It's I can't take it very many places.
I suppose so. Yeah. Because I remember when you first got it, you floated around downtown, and that was cool.
That's pretty illegal,
right? Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Won't do that again.
Yeah.
What should we want to go on to here? Do we have? We can go on to Bad Boy John.
Sure.
Bad Boy John, yeah. So Bad Boy John McEnroe is in hot water again with the referees. Shall we call them the people that don't like it when the idea of men and women being the same isn't necessarily true. Here's what Johnny Boy had to say here.
Best female player ever, no question. If she played the men's circuit, she'd be like 700 in the world. That doesn't mean I don't think Serena's like an incredible player. I do, but there's the reality of what would happen on a given day. Serena could beat some players, I believe, because she's so incredibly strong mentally. But if she had to just play the circuit, the men's circuit, that would be an entirely different story.
So he's on the one hand said that she's the greatest female player ever, and on the other she wouldn't do fare well on the men's circuit. And that got him in a lot of hot water. Feminists of the third wave type have this idea that men and women are the same. I mean, I think this is where a lot of the postmodernist stuff that biological sex is a cultural construct. It becomes, is why it's so. It's something that they look at that fits with their ideology.
Yeah, I might even phrase it differently and say that they reject biological determinism. Yeah. Because I think might more accurately capture the essence of what was originally posited, as opposed to they reject science altogether. And well, I guess, because postmodernism is essentially anti-science.
It is totally anti-science.
It's about personal knowledge and validation of personal experience specifically, right?
It's a self-contradicting philosophy in my book. How can you know it's true? So how could postmodernism be true?
Well, again, it's something that, maybe on a philosophical level, it's got its problems, but on a pragmatic level, if you go into, I think I've given the example of anthropology before. If you go into a culture with sort of, a neutral position saying, okay, I'm going to let the experience of the people that I interview or interact with, whatever the case may be, right, you would get a better understanding of a culture as opposed to going in there with, maybe our more biased Western ideas of what that culture, given our perception of our own, right? Does that make sense?
Sure, but I don't think you can go into any such situation with not being biased.
Of course you can't. But it's meant to be a check on bias, not to introduce bias, right? Which is what I think is happening now, right? Do you see what I mean? Now we've got a bias against biology when that's not initially how it was, I guess, conceived to be.
Well, that's the thing. Postmodernism.
It was an alternative as opposed to a head-on challenge, if that makes sense.
What you mean? Postmodernism is not a head-on challenge to science?
Well, yeah, but in the case of the case of anthropology, right? This would have been fairly revolutionary to go into your culture and attempt to shed your own biases of, right? There was a time when that was a productive paradigm for anthropology. for example.
Yeah, but I don't think that's POMO. I mean, that's just science.
I think that's the roots, part of the roots of it.
Like, because
affording experiential knowledge.
This is what science, like the whole idea of the clinical trial, double or triple blinding is to eliminate that bias. And POMO didn't supply that. That just came out of an understanding of human psychology.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm
just trying to think of how to phrase it, because
I was listening to an interesting not podcast. It was a YouTube video on the 3 stages of postmodernism. It seems to me a lot of it comes from the problem of induction. That because you can't because science is inductive, you can't know for sure. Well, you can't know from an absolute certain perspective, but I don't think I don't think that the sun isn't going to rise tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
You can be certain about things. And POMO says that all kinds of uncertainties are the same. They're just, they completely they invalidate science. And that's bullshit.
No, because there's more and less, knowledge can be more or less reliable, right? Like,
yes,
the knowledge of a freaking tarot card reader is not very reliable. But, when I listen to a lecture by Lawrence Krauss or something, I think there's, reliability there in what he's purporting, right? And where there's not, he's asserting it as the unknown, I suppose, like what's yet to be discovered, or
well, you get a lot of this postmodernism, says, well, science changes its opinion and therefore it's invalid. And I'm like, no, it's actually its strength.
Yeah.
And there's another place I hear that bullshit from, and it's called religion.
Mm-hmm.
You get that all the time from the religious. Oh, well, science says one thing one day, blah, blah. No, it updates. It updates.
Yeah.
We draw conclusions from the best available knowledge, and that knowledge is continually being gathered. So it's a strength of it. I mean, what else is there? I mean, there's nothing else. There's no other game in town.
Well, I guess if we were to I'm not trying to argue in favor of one or the other here. I guess I'm trying to explain, science is the best tool we have to interrogate empirical reality, but postmodernism might be an interesting tool to interrogate social reality, or I don't know what you want to call social, the social sphere, right? It's a different set of methodological tools that can
postmodernism,
be invoked, and they can also be abused.
But postmodernism eschews empiricism. The best social science material has fact behind it.
But there's an aspect of it that puts it in the realm of philosophy too, right? It can be a useful methodology, but it can also be an interesting philosophical concept to argue, which you and I are clearly doing. Or, well, we're on the same page here, right? But it's progressed an argument.
Yeah, I just wonder what postmodernism has actually given us, other than problems, other than massive problems.
Of course, there are fields that kind of, they took it up briefly and then rejected it, but obviously there are other fields that it's still flourishing in, right?
Yeah, and look at the crap. In places like women's studies, 80% of papers get no citations.
Yeah. Well,
and the rest of it, how much of it is based in empiricism?
You can't dismiss an entire, I guess, area of study. I wouldn't call it a field or that kind of thing.
I'm pretty close. To dismissing it. Oh yeah, I'm with Jordan Peterson. Defund it. Get rid of them. They're they're basically, they treat opinion as fact.
Yeah.
And I call bullshit, because that's not how you do science. And to be fair, they reject science.
Yep. It's yeah. Well, simultaneously rejecting science, they're also trying to make their work more, I guess, philosophically robust, but they tend not to triangulate it with empirical evidence, right? So it remains in the realm of speculation as opposed to empirical research. And
try and read one of these papers. It's
I
so
know, I
dense.
have. I took these courses. So I'm, like sometimes it gets pared down to kind of a misrepresentation because it's a bit more nuanced than what's presented by both feminists and the critics.
I think the critics have more.
Well, again, how it's been taken up and popularized and that kind of thing is a different question than about maybe some of the more academic and deeper questions that aren't reflected in the debate we see, say, online or whatever, right?
I'm not, far be it for me to say that opinions don't matter, but in academia, in publications, yeah, they shouldn't matter.
Well,
and they've elevated them to an epistemology.
Isn't it?
Well, yeah, but you can't elevate unsubstantiated opinion to the level of being called an epistemology. I mean,
what do you mean?
Well, making shit up, it's not an epistemology. It's got to be, an opinion has to be based in something, right? It has to be based in reality, hopefully. Yeah. A lot of the stuff that's published in gender studies and women's studies is not. And it's emotional reasoning, as if there is such a thing. And
just because it's not a good epistemology doesn't mean it's epistemology. No, I'm serious.
Yeah, true. But it's not a valid one. It's not one that you can verify as being an epistemology. That's the thing. If you can't,
it is to the person asserting it. You see, this is
that's
philosophical.
Right. Which is why the rest of us shouldn't give a shit. I mean, it's only to the person who's saying it. Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Yes, and if you take that as sort of a speculative starting point to build a research question on, like, you might go into, say, I don't know, like I said, a culture you're unfamiliar with or a subculture or something like that, and then you find out that a lot of people within that culture have very similar experiences, then you have the basis to formulate an empirical question. So this type of research is, what do they call it? Exploratory.
Okay, I'm still waiting for the empirical stuff.
Well, yeah, but that's how the empirical questions can potentially get generated from.
If it hasn't generated any empirical questions by now.
Well, look at polling, right? Like, look at political polling and that kind of thing, right? Like that.
Oh, that's empirical, though.
Asserting their political opinions based on their experiences, right?
But that is a hard science.
Yes.
It's
based on people's experiences, on their self-reporting and shit like that, right?
Yes, but you have
same with like
that's meaningful. Research. That's meaningful. No single person's opinion is meaningful, though. It's when from a sociological perspective, you have to have a broad spectrum. They've spent millions of dollars developing methods. I'm talking about Stats Canada now. They've developed the methods that will reliably reflect the country as a whole from a subsampling. Mm-hmm. That's science. That's not POMO.
I was thinking more along the lines of like self-reporting type research. When you do a political poll, you're essentially giving your opinion.
Oh, right? I throw those out.
When you do a marketing poll, you're giving your opinion. And say you're a marketer and you find, oh my goodness, a lot of people like brand X.
But do they buy brand X?
Sort of like what do you call it? Focus groups or something like that, right? and then you do a broader, like getting hundreds of thousands of consumers involved in, I don't know, air miles to see how, track people's, consumption of this particular brand. I'm not saying that, this is empirical, but it's...
of course it's empirical.
Yeah, but it's still exploring the social realm.
But it's not postmodernism.
Right? Pardon me?
It's not postmodernism, though. Postmodernism says you can't know anything. So all this polling is useless.
I guess there's sort of ways to leverage it in a way that aren't so pernicious as what is kind of popularized, right? And I'm not saying that, marketing research and polling are in that realm of postmodernism, but when you're leveraging people's opinions and their own self-reflections and that kind of thing, you are taking into account their personal experience. And like I said, if you start off with a focus group and you find similarities among, the people that are in that group based on their culture experiences, their tastes, their political opinions, that kind of thing, right? And a lot of them hold that same opinion among a fairly broad group, then you've got a way to generate a broader, like polling type question.
Yeah, I think you're really being generous with a connection between that.
Not really. I don't think I am.
Yeah.
Right? Like I just think that, again, it's very nuanced, and we hear kind of like the black and white argument of it, right? I've studied this stuff. This is, 3 degrees here. I'm almost on here with this kind of stuff, right? So
in POMO, you're off the show.
Well, it's certainly influenced communication studies, right? Obviously.
Okay, I'll give you that. But what does it say about society, though?
Well, I think it generates questions that can ask broader questions about the experiences of people within society.
It's a kind of relativism.
Totally. Absolutely. I mean that's essentially.
And I kind of don't like relativism.
Synonymous. I don't either, but I'm defending it. I know where you're coming from, but I can also see where it's got some applications where it has been and can continue to be a contributing paradigm, shall we say? Right?
Okay. Well, I'll take your word for it. But we're way far afield here.
We are.
Gotten into the POMO trap again.
But okay. Yeah.
So,
and I agree. Like, I'm not a fan, but I have seen it used in productive and useful ways. So,
okay. Well,
don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So, So.
Yeah, the world is. If the world lost postmodernism tomorrow, honestly, I think that we'd be okay.
Yeah, maybe it's contributed all it has at this point in time, and now it's doing more harm than good.
Oh, it's usually harmful.
Yeah.
Anyway, so for those of you that have forgotten, we were talking about John McEnroe.
I'm so not interested in sports, so I'm sorry.
his mean and violent comment about Serena Williams, and this is Serena herself, actually, a little while back. And I've got here we...
Because Andy Murray, he was been joking about myself and him playing a match, and I'm like, Andy, seriously, like, are you kidding me? Because for me, tennis and men's tennis and women's tennis are completely almost two separate sports. So I'm like, if I were to play Andy Murray, I would lose 6-0, 6-0 in 5 to 6 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. Because it's true. It's true. It's a completely. Really? It's a completely different sport. The men are a lot faster, and they serve harder, they hit harder. It's just a different game, and I love to play women's tennis, and I only want to play girls because I don't want to be embarrassed. I would not do the tour. I wouldn't do Billie Jean any justice. So Andy, stop it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let you kill me.
I'm with you when it comes to tennis. I only want to play girls.
Yeah. So that was him. Not her. Not him. Her. That was Serena herself with David Letterman.
Yeah, keeping it real, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, she knows what's what, and it's true. I mean, I actually enjoy watching women's tennis more than I enjoy men's tennis because men's tennis is just ace. It's like boring. But that it's basically the exception that proves the rule, and that women's tennis is just the longer rallies and more enjoyable to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But he gets all kinds of grief for this. People are saying he's sexist and blah blah blah. Well, he's just being truthful. He was just answering a question.
Yeah, and the way the question was framed was quite misleading, right? We're talking about male players. I'm sorry, I'm quoting the interview here, Garcia Navarro. Quote, we're talking about male players, but there are, of course, wonderful female players. Let's talk about Serena Williams. You say she is the best female player in the world. And then McEnroe, best female player ever, no question.
Yeah.
Garcia Navarro. Someone wouldn't qualify it. Some would say she's the best player in the world. Why qualify it? After she herself qualified it?
Yeah.
Bloody question. Like, holy crap. Like,
the reason...
It's a little disingenuous. I mean, I get where she's coming from. Like, some would say, because that's a typical journalist, gotcha.
Yeah. He's just answering honestly. And, she is the greatest women's player of all time. I mean, second would be, maybe her sister Venus. Third would be Martina Navratilova. And, but they just wouldn't be anywhere on the men's circuit.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be anywhere.
Yeah.
And you could argue that, well, she's just so dominant. She's the most dominant player in women's pro tennis, and overall, she's the most dominant player because she just has that many wins. She has that many pro tournament wins, and that's true. That would be true because the competition on the men's side right now is much more tighter.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I mean, I know nothing about.
I'd still have to qualify it.
But
she's the most dominant. She would be the most dominant player of for her time. That's true.
Yeah.
But she's still not the best player in the world because
totally
fair. It's just
Yeah.
physiology.
Yeah.
Men and women are not the same, and the thing is, anytime this is the broader scope that I wanted to bring to this story, in that anytime there's something in the literature that comes out with gender differences, be it a certain part of the brain is differently sized in men than it is in women, you get all these people coming out not looking at the experiment and the results, but saying, no, that can't be because men and women are the same.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Again, this hostility toward what they would deem biological determinism.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And that there's actually, I mean, there's more men in prison than women. That's evolutionary psychology right there. Mm-hmm. There are reasons for that. And
yes, the patriarchy. Toxic masculinity.
Toxic masculinity. Yes, absolutely. The patriarchy. Jeez, the Catholic Church is the only patriarchy around here.
Well, and like I'm kind of making fun of it, but also I can see where it like it's a lens through which to view social phenomenon, one of many lenses. And any lens that can explain everything can really explain nothing.
Yes.
Ultimately, right?
Yeah.
And there are more, it's more than, there are many theories like that.
Yeah, but you have to be careful. You have to know its limitations.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
But I think the only lens worth looking through there is the evolutionary psychology one. That at least can offer testable explanations.
Well, evolutionary psychology was quite influenced by feminism, and in terms of how way back when kind of thing. I shouldn't say way back when because it wasn't that long ago, but they had biases about male and female, and introducing feminism to challenge those was productive in terms of advancing biology.
Some just it got a little silly when it got into algebra and things like that.
Well,
That got ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah.
But there are gender differences between, there are, I mean, it seems obvious now, but there are some, things that men get more than women get, and some things that women get, men just don't get, and vice versa. I mean, if you look at tumors in the brain, what is it in men? It's astrocytoma. I think in women it's meningioma. There's definitely differences in gender there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, and I mean that's also true of ethnicity and that kind of thing, like sickle cell anemia, and yes, it's biologically deterministic to, I guess, look at a population in terms of ethnicity or whatever, but we wouldn't know this about sickle cell anemia and take, be able to take, certain things affect certain, there's another one that I think affects primarily Jews too. I can't remember what it is, but, we want to know about these things so that we can help.
So much for the chosen people.
That was my chair, by the way, if anybody heard a squeak. Yeah. I can hardly hear through my headphones. It sounded really bad, but it was the chair.
So Johnny, being the bad boy he is, had this to say.
No. I'm just waiting. Would you like to apologize?
No. But the offer is this, is because it seems in tennis, unlike other sports, that they're always asking about how women, they always ask me how I would do for someone. Why isn't this old bag John McEnroe, how would he do against Serena? He'd be destroyed. He's a little bit.
Kidding.
How
old is he?
Oh, I don't know. Like he was playing in the 70s and early 80s.
Yeah.
At the height of his game.
That's just mean.
Yeah. Well, it's stupid. It's a stupid question.
Picking on old people, that's mean.
Well, I mean, in his prime,
this is stupid. Yeah.
In his prime,
of
course he'd beat Serena.
Yeah.
Him and Jimmy Connors were just amazing to watch. I mean, they were and Bjorn Borg. Those three were just amazing to watch back then. So, I used to be really big on watching tennis and playing. Now I'm just a couch potato.
Clearly,
I'm so out of shape. I'm so badly out of shape. I got to do something about that.
Me too, actually. Yeah.
And get out the rollerblades. I haven't had those out in years. But
oh yeah, that'd be fun. I never did quite learn how to stop, unfortunately.
Oh well, I had a neighbor when I was single, and I always bitched about people that didn't wear wrist guards, because the broken wrist is the most common injury with rollerblading. And she didn't like to wear wrist guards. So, one of these days you're going to fall backwards and you're going to put your arm down to stop your fall and you're going to break your wrist, which is exactly what happened to my wife, by the way.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And she had a wrist guard on, so it doesn't always help then. She had a double fracture. It's pretty bad.
Jesus. Huh.
Yeah, a couple of weeks before our wedding.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, she wasn't happy.
Yeah.
So she was out rollerblading and she fell forward. And as she was falling forward, she remembered me saying, you're going to stop yourself with your hands and you're going to break your wrist. And so she pulled her hands back.
Oh, no.
And did a face plant.
Oh, no.
And I'm just like, you really think I'm going to feel sorry about that?
Oh, did she break anything in her face?
No, but she was pretty banged up for a while.
Oh,
but she blamed me for it. I'm like, yeah, I'm not feeling sorry. No.
You were a psychic.
You were warned.
Predicted it. You were supposed to tell her.
Yeah, she was warned.
Wow. Can we take like a 5-minute break so I can deal with the pets around here?
Okay, so I'm gonna put some music on.
Okay, sounds good. 5.
What am I gonna put on here?
I don't know. Alice in Chains.
I'll put on something from YouTube.
Okay. Well, Alice in Chains is on YouTube. What's the one I'm thinking of here?
I'll put on Andy Worski.
Okay. Okay, 5 minutes.
Some Andy Worski. Here you go. Here is Andy Worski for 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. Soon.
This video is brought to you by catbeast.com.
Yeah.
Design your own
Stuff
custom
your
snapbacks
caps.
and hats.
Okay, here we go.
Not even. Not
No?
a little bit of and a little bit
Slight
of
slight good.
Exactly.
Yo, we're here with some black guy. What's going on, dude?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Yeah,
man?
we did let a black
Really-
man into
really-
the hotel room.
You fucked up.
Yeah.
I made a mistake.
My voice is gone, by the way. That's why I sound like a fucking...
VidCon has been ridiculous.
It's brutal.
Yeah,
but
it's insane.
Yes.
It's been crazy. First of all, meeting like the viewers has been nuts,
Dude.
Insanity.
they're all awesome too.
And meeting everybody like yourself, Dave Cullen, Blair, Chris Reagan, it's been quite the mind-blowing experience.
Yeah, it's been fucking... But there's been one moment, one internet breaking moment that happened. Two. Lacey and Sargon having a chat at the bar last night and getting emotional, like, oh my, like really like talking about shit, like
a straight up breakthrough, man.
Yeah.
It was.
She almost blew him.
Chris Reagan just chilling.
Chris on the side. Hey, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
No, it didn't happen. That didn't happen. But they did hug. They covered a lot of grounds, which something I didn't think would happen.
Yeah.
And also you,
Francesca Ramsey. Like, okay, all right, we'll put the picture up here. If you didn't see the tweet, the internet, the strangest timeline has happened.
Oh yeah.
So how did this all start? All right, so Derek, do you want to say the Anita panel, which a lot of you probably heard about, but let's just talk about that.
I know, right? So that's the buzz that's going around. So everybody saw the panel that happened yesterday. It was yesterday, right? So Anita, having to talk about women.
No, 2 days ago.
2 days ago. Oh.
Doesn't even fucking matter.
The time, dude.
it happened.
You know what? Fuck you.
Too much partying. Too much.
Yeah.
Too much partying, man.
Yeah, way too much. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple days ago, so Anita Sarkeesian has a panel. Kat Black was there too, right? And they were just talking about women online. Yeah, I mean, Kat Black. Dude, fucking Kat Black, man. I've never made a video about her. I hardly know shit about her. I just know that she's kind of a dick. And she made like some depictions, some MS Paint fucking things, and she made me like some conservative thug, like with a gold chain and shit. I'm like, dude, what the fuck even is this?
She like throwing an attack for no
reason. Like,
That's because you are a conservative thug. That's
yeah.
why.
I mean, apparently,
Obvious.
if I'm not like, if you're not fucking, if you're not that far like left, you must be a conservative. Like, if you're not a progressive, you're a fucking conservative. That's how it is nowadays. It's just
there's no middle. There's no nuance. There's no, it's not nuance. Black and white. That's what they want. They don't want you to judge them, but they'll judge you. No, that's fine. That's fine.
So, of course, Anita, being the gem that she is, she has the opportunity to talk about the issues that women face online or whatever.
Oh, no.
Yeah, like...
Oh, no.
Which is just like, okay, whatever. It's your panel.
That's fine. It's
talk whatever you're going to say. But she just couldn't help but resist because Sargon Akkad, is in... The front, in the front.
I sat beside him. It was great.
Yeah, you were right there.
Actually,
his commentary the entire time too. Oh, mwah.
And Anita just calls him out repeatedly.
First 5 minutes.
First 5 minutes. And if you haven't heard about it, go watch other people's videos and share. You already know.
Well, first of all, the other girls were so like innocent and ready to like talk about women's issues, and then Anita. 5 minutes in goes, and one of the pieces of shit fucking human
garbage human being.
Garbage.
And then the girl.
Maybe we should actually talk about that.
This, like little YouTuber. She's
Sure.
a girl.
Yeah.
She's like at one point when Anita's
Make him shut up.
Yeah, I'll make him shut up.
They're all bitch.
Shut up, Andy. Shut up.
Black
Shut up.
shit,
Shut up.
you're
Shut up. Shut up.
sweating. She's just like,
There we go. Sorry, Andy. That's Andy Worski, the YouTuber.
Respectfully. Please
Yeah, they're totally
kindly
respectfully.
Please kindly tone down. Yeah.
Yeah, these guys are drinking beers. There's the Worskis and some black guy.
Okay.
That's seriously what he's called, some black guy.
Yeah. That's his YouTube name.
Yeah, YouTube name.
Yeah.
I like his stuff, by the way, too. So this past weekend they had VidCon, the big thing with the YouTubers. Mm-hmm. And Sargon of Akkad, who's been very critical of Anita Sarkeesian, and Anita Sarkeesian's been pushing this false narrative.
Television in the 70s, if not...
Records,
it actually goes
music.
further back with, I guess, comics or something like that.
Oh, probably.
So
it's just nonsense.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
if anything,
it's
censorship, but if anything, it actually decreases it because you get to explore parts of yourself. You're not thinking about that when you're playing a game. I actually do, because I try to pick characters if it's a role playing game, something that's a little not me, and because it's boring if it's just me. I want to be a complete shithead in a character.
Yeah,
I get the opportunity to do
other
it.
than like Scrabble and stuff like that, right?
Yes, Scrabble.
That's my idea.
You're out of my league. I can't play Scrabble. We have played Scrabble. I've played Scrabble with you. I haven't won a single game.
What with Rhonda?
No, with you. It was a while back.
Yeah,
I suck at it. I'm terrible at Scrabble. Really am.
I seem to have a talent.
I don't strategize very well.
My dad is. Oh, he kicks my ass. It's amazing. Yeah. Anyway, I love Scrabble. Like these role. I don't know. I just never really.
I actually quite enjoy them. But, so anyway, Anita Sarkeesian was on a panel about women, and I think it was about harassment, online harassment, and Sargon of Akkad and a whole bunch of other people occupied the first front rows, and it wasn't intended to be an intimidation tactic or anything like that. They were there. In fact, they made an agreement amongst everybody. Nobody says anything. Nobody snickers. Nobody laughs. And Anita was very upset with them being there. Mm-hmm. And she basically called Sargon of Akkad, was it human garbage?
Yeah. And a shithead or something.
She was very unprofessional, and she's going to really hurt. Wow. She basically violated one of the things that she said at the United Nations, that this kind of language has to stop. And there she is doing it. There's another answer to that. Just water off a duck's back.
Yeah.
It's not hard. Come on.
Like the bit I've seen too is somebody asked her a question and they said, do you really believe basically the stuff you've been saying, blah, blah, blah kind of thing. And she's like, get that person,
Yes.
And I was thinking, like, much as I've said on this podcast many times is, the answer to that would be, it's not a matter of whether I believe it or not. This is one theoretical lens among many that I've applied to these X phenomena, like, video games, blah, blah, blah kind of thing. There are other, because that's, presumably she wrote some kind of, dissertation or thesis or something like that. And you would be expected to know the counter criticisms to the theory that you're using, right?
Yeah, you would think so, unless you're in.
Yeah.
Unless you're in certain areas of academia.
It was framed in a way that maybe didn't sound very nice, but it was like a fucking softball, if you ask me. If you're an academic and you understand what it means to defend your thesis, meaning your statement or whatever, right? Then that should have been a no. That should have been easy. That should have been like I said, a low ball.
Honestly, I don't think the stuff that she puts out would stand up to any scrutiny. The methodologies are not rigorous at all.
Yeah. And that's, she's never really addressed the criticism. And so now she's decided she's going to go out there and, engage more in the public sphere. Well, you're going to get it and take it graciously and do your best to address the questions. Because that was, I said, that was the softball. And there's another one too. And rather than, I can't remember what the question was. And again, it was presented in maybe not the most, appealing kind of way, but it was like, yeah, they start imitating the guy, you know, look at your tone of voice, and yeah. And I'm just like, wow, that's you don't do that.
Yeah,
that's super unprofessional.
If you are in enemy territory, you know what I'm talking about, look what happens with people like Richard Dawkins. He loves going into enemy territory.
Yeah.
Christopher Hitchens used to love that too.
Yeah.
She doesn't want that. She doesn't want to be challenged. She doesn't want to have to defend what she's, you know, the validity of what she has spouted. She just wants her echo chamber. Where you know she's celebrated in feminist circles. Maybe this will wake them up. They're cultivating this. You know, Steve Shives is, of course, the ultimate cultivator of the echo chamber.
Well, I don't know. I think she might have outranked him on this one.
Well, she's out. This is probably the last time she ever makes an appearance at one of these things.
I wonder. Yeah.
But
and the conference kind of defended her too, didn't they?
Yeah, they
she did violate the policy, but yeah. So.
And it was unprovoked. It was completely unprovoked.
Yeah, and
other than
what's more, like, I guess Sargon and Lacey Green actually had a conversation and ended up, hugging and mending ways and that kind of thing, right? And the Worski, what's his name? Andy Worski
and Chelsea Francesca Ramsey.
Yeah. That was, like, that's so cool, right? Like, and they have plans to, discuss things in the future, and that's, I think from that's what the purpose is, right? Like we shouldn't think of each other as like opposing forces, because there are issues that we all could tackle together rather than having these silly, infighting things, I guess, right?
Did you see the latest hit piece on Lacey Green?
No.
Something from The Establishment. The strange, sad case of Lacey Green. I don't think I posted it, but yeah. I mean, it was just a hit piece as a total character assassination. Basically accused her of doing this for the money.
Yeah.
Changing over to... She hasn't changed to anti-feminism. She's still a feminist. She just recognizes that there are some valid points of criticism of her positions. Yeah. And, Steve Shives has come out slandering her, basically. And she's been treated absolutely horribly by the people she used to call friends.
Yeah.
In the feminist movement.
Because she's taken a stance of being skeptical of all the ironic things.
Well,
right?
Baring pointed out that in a online chat, Steve Shives says, that's great, you can talk to these people, blah, blah. As soon as somebody does it, somebody talks to the other side, then he's like, we shouldn't be talking to those shitheads and blah, blah, blah. I mean,
I didn't even know he said it was okay to talk to. Like, he seems to.
Oh, I just paid lip service to it. Yeah, he just paid lip service to it. It's hypocrisy. And he's projecting. Calling people a shithead is just pure projection from him.
Yeah,
he's gone off the deep end.
Yeah, like, it's interesting. Like, Lacey Green, she had her, I guess, contentions with the skeptical community and that kind of thing, but. Look at who kind of, when Lacey decided to talk to more people and broaden her horizons, who welcomed her and who, like, entirely slagged her and essentially rejected her, right?
Well, she did something that was impressive. She changed her mind.
Yeah.
And it impressed people.
Yeah, but like her and Sargon and Francesca and Worski, right? Yeah. I think that bespeaks of a genuine interest of building communication.
Yeah, I don't know who started the idea of this VidCon, because it's been apparently it's been really, really good, except for Anita Sarkeesian, who didn't get anything out of it because she wasn't in her echo chamber getting all the laurels and applause. My understanding is that the rest of the panel she was on was very uncomfortable with what Anita was doing.
I bet. Yeah.
And I would be embarrassed. I mean, it's just
I
reprehensible behavior.
yeah, really it was. Yeah.
Coming from somebody who
Yeah.
claims that harassment is, a terrible, terrible thing. I mean,
Yeah, and I have
harassment-
no personal
it is,
animosity or anything toward her, but that was, well, I guess people have made the comparison.
She's a
if,
sham. Her
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
position is a sham. It's cherry-picked stuff.
It's bad. It's bad. Again, like if you can't address a simple question like, do you really believe, what you're espousing? That's such a low ball. If you as an academic, as you purport to be as an expert or a critic or, academic critic, whatever you want to call yourself, you can't answer that question. That's simply to be expected.
Well,
if
I
you
don't
attend
actually
proper
care.
academic. Pardon me.
I don't actually care if she believes her nonsense or
Well,
not. I just know she's
if
wrong.
you were to attend an academic
And she would
an
never admit it.
academic conference and behave that way, that wouldn't be okay.
Oh, of course not. Well,
Yeah.
I don't remember the Hypatia incident. Don't
That's true.
get too quick to answer.
Well, that's
in
publishing as
that
opposed
way.
to a live meeting where people might actually
Oh,
challenge
I
you.
have a feeling it would be way worse if it was live. They're not acting like academics, and that.
No, but I'm saying in the
just
face of proper
terrible.
academic criticism, she would. If you can't handle a question like what she was presented there, then you can't defend your argument.
Yeah, she's too used to the friendly audience, and she didn't get.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so.
A lot
Yeah.
of people were not friendly towards her position.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she definitely, because there's actual video of it. You can show that she behaved very poorly under those conditions.
Yeah. And that's fine, I guess. Not really. But then she doubled down.
Yeah.
And then the conference organizers defended her, and that's bizarre.
Oh, I think all we got left is, we got the cryo thing, don't we?
Yes.
See the cryo freezing. Okay, so I'm just gonna.
We have a couple more.
Yeah, we do. I don't really want to spend too much on the Black Lives Matter thing, but
okay.
Here's. I'm just gonna play a clip here. Where is it? There we go.
A knee injury threatened Tim Blanchard's career as a professional Brazilian jiu-jitsu fighter. Threatened Tim Blanchard.
Stop that. Start over again.
Yes.
It took some time to start. I don't know why.
A knee injury threatened Tim Blanchard's career as a professional Brazilian jiu-jitsu fighter. He turned to something called whole body cryotherapy.
I tried everything, and I find with this, it's the best.
Also known as cold therapy, it exposes nearly naked bodies to temperatures lower than anything recorded in the natural world.
Because of that, I found that my knee was able to recover a lot better, and I didn't need surgery.
The interior of the metal canister is chilled by bursts of nitrogen vapors. Believers say the treatment promotes healing, leads to less post-workout pain, increases circulation, has anti-aging benefits, and more. Each session is 3 minutes long and costs about $65.
We're not about, selling snake oil or anything. We wouldn't be doing this if we didn't see benefits. A person that really brought it to the forefront was Kobe Bryant. Back when he was playing, he would always jump in, and when it comes to that level of athlete, they know what's working and what's not because they're so in tune with their body.
Whole body cryotherapy has been around for a while. It started in Japan in the 1970s, coming to North America just a few years ago as an alternative treatment for elite athletes. But only recently did it go mainstream.
There's a little bit of placebo theater to it.
So I'm going to stop that there. I'm going to. So this whole body cryo thing. You step into this metal canister. And you're blasted with cold nitrogen gas, and supposedly it brings these benefits, but there's very little evidence in the literature on that. There was one paper I was looking at, a very small study that showed that after 10 treatments, there's about 24 people, after 10 treatments, there was a slight decrease in cholesterol levels. But nothing really, certainly nothing about that had anything to do with performance. And if you're looking to decrease inflammation, you're actually better off to use cold liquid than cryotherapy. It's more effective in decreasing the blood flow to injured parts of the body. But this is just really expensive nonsense.
It's not all that expensive, actually.
Wow, $65. I don't know.
Yeah,
and that's per session.
Yeah, if you're a woo purveyor or whatever, then
Yeah,
that's
if
not going to seem like all that much money, is it? Really?
If you got a little left over in your wallet after trying chiropractic,
It's about the same as a massage.
and what's that stuff? The chelation therapy. Then okay, well, massage actually benefits you.
That's true. That's true.
But
yeah.
yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, you can buy into the bullshit here. Oh my God, I cannot imagine this because I cannot stand being cold. I hate being cold. Right? Just the thought of this makes me cringe. And I think there must be like some kind of evolutionary conference of benefit on cringing from the thought of being in, what is it, like minus 140 degrees Celsius?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so this is J. Paul Dollawall. He's opening up this place called N2 Cryotherapy here in Calgary.
Mm-hmm.
He's convinced the procedure will be vindicated with more study. Don't you want to have the studies first?
You'd think.
But this whole idea... Oh, go ahead.
N2 Cryotherapy, located inside MMA University. Did you look into that?
No, I didn't, but yeah, it'd be mixed martial arts. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Okay, I didn't know what it stood for, and I'm just like, what the? That's what?
Yeah.
Struck me as odd. Yeah.
This whole idea of it's Kobe Bryant is the person who popularized it. Blah blah blah. It's basically just another endorsement by somebody who doesn't really know what they're doing. I mean, just because I felt better after I came out doesn't mean it was because of this thing. That's post hoc ergo propter hoc. And come on, what's his name? Michael Phelps had.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking with the suction cup stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I'm like, they may be in tune with their body, but they don't know what's best for it. So, there are certainly the being an athlete is not guaranteeing that they know what's best for their own body. So, yeah, I'll wait for the evidence. Thank you very much. But there's very little in the literature if you do search on PubMed.
Yeah. I'll remain.
And it has nothing to do with longevity or performance. So.
Well, yeah. When the evidence comes in, I'll try it out then. But in the meantime, I won't be pursuing that particular service here in Calgary.
I love this, but athletes are just the tip of the iceberg.
University.
Motivational Tony Robbins, speaker Tony Robbins. Yeah, things like celebrity endorsement, and I mean, just think of what's her name with Goop.
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah, or so testimonials in general. They're not good evidence. Okay, they're not good evidence.
Well, Dr. Oz and Oprah, I think, were on that list too. Pretty much anything that I hear about
Mandy Moore, Lindsay
from
Lohan.
anything associated. Yeah. Anthony Robbins, Dr. Oz, Oprah. I'm like immediately. I don't know. Right? Probably not so much. Oprah, I might grant the occasional pass to, but no, those are not people who I regard as anybody to follow or even give the slightest regard to, including their guests.
Yeah, I want to see actual experiments, the results of actual experiments, and preferably more than one paper, because it could be a one-off. It could be a one-off.
Yeah.
So this is, as usual, they went to Timothy Caulfield at the University of Alberta, who has the Canada Research Chair in Health Law and Policy at U of A. Here's what he had to say.
A knee injury threatened Tim Blanchard's career as a professional Brazilian
This
jiu-jitsu
is going to the
fighter.
wrong thing.
He turned
Forget
to
it. Anyway, he said it's bad. Okay, no, he said that there's a bit of there's a placebo effect that's coming out of this mostly, and that the evidence is actually quite slim.
Yeah.
Damn it! For some reason, it went to the wrong.
I can read it.
Anyway, okay, yeah, go ahead.
We know. Okay, I'll skip the intros and that kind of thing because you'll put the link up. He says the studies have, quote, been very small sample sizes and or haven't yet been replicated by other researchers, end quote. Caulfield cited a 2015 systematic review by the Cochrane Collaboration, which gathers and synthesizes medical research on cold therapy. It found, quote, no evidence that whole body cryotherapy for muscle soreness after exercise is effective or safe, end quote. Federal regulators in Canada and the U.S. are also unconvinced of cryotherapy's benefits. I'll not go on from there, but essentially, yeah.
Well, and somebody died in one of these things.
Yeah, in Vegas. Yeah.
Hollywood Cryotherapy Center on woman who froze to death.
Yeah, isn't that terrible?
I love this headline. She clearly got a tad too comfortable. Wow. So this is like 2015, October 2015, and this woman.
I remember that. We probably talked about it.
Oh, really? No, we didn't talk about it.
Maybe. Okay. Well, I remember it certainly made the rounds.
She was in this thing for 10 hours. I mean, you'd think there would be a timer on it, like if, safety is something
really?
that FDA looks at, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, she did do it alone.
She was frozen solid.
You're not supposed to do that, but still, like, holy crap. You're going to have redundancy and safety mechanisms,
yes,
that kind of thing, right? Yeah.
She actually worked at this Rejuvenise. It's called Rejuvenise. What a nice name. Rejuvenise Spa in Henderson, Nevada. And she stayed after work.
Hours.
Yeah. She stayed after work. And they found her the next morning popsicle.
Yeah.
And, so why she was, who knows? Who knows why she's stayed in there. She was trapped. Maybe it's possible that she suffocated from nitrogen.
Any number of reasons. Maybe I don't know, maybe she had a couple of drinks and passed out, or who knows, right? Seriously, who knows? It's a terrible, sad story.
Yeah.
I mean, who the hell would do that alone?
I'm still going to joke
in the first
about
place.
It.
All right.
I'm still gonna cut.
You got to, I agree.
There's lots of popsicle jokes and.
You have to joke about the dark side.
Yes, you do.
So, yes.
Because I'm an asshole.
Me too. That's very gendered, but okay, so I'm a...
That's not gendered. You don't... wait a minute.
I am.
So are you telling me that women don't have assholes?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, what would you call me? What would Baron call me?
I call you a cunt. There you go.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yep. We have one last story. Black Lives Matter, New York City. They're inspired. I choose to use a different word. By Toronto chapter's call for removal of uniformed police. I just don't get this. I do not understand what purpose this serves.
Yeah. Well, I mean, clearly they've been quite explicit that they feel that the presence of police is intimidating. But like Pride has so long been my goodness, like a pillar, I would almost say, of Canadian society for the longest time now, that it's I don't know, like.
Did you hear about the Jewish flag, the Jewish rainbow flag? It makes us feel uncomfortable, so we shouldn't have that flag. Like,
wow.
The proper response is grow a spine. Get over it. Fuck.
Yeah, that's,
they wonder why we call them snowflakes.
Yeah.
But the flag is violent, I guess.
I wonder what they'd say about a freaking Nazi flag.
Yeah. Well, they're adding colors to the flag, brown and black, which makes no sense to me because who is blue? Who is...
Yeah, well, there is symbolism associated with that flag, and the person
with
here
the rainbow.
Yeah, and each color, I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of the man who came up with it, but there was a symbolism for each of the colors, and none of it had anything to do with
race,
anything other than the gay identity, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And that in and of itself transcends everything, like race,
Black
gender.
Lives Matter has made an industry out of separating themselves from everybody else. It's an industry.
Well,
they have no interest. They have no reason to exist.
I dare say hijacking rather than separating like some of these events, right?
Well,
and I know that sounds harsh, and people, hopefully
no,
we'll
it's not. It's not. It's totally what they do. It's part of their playbook.
Yeah, like that funeral after that club was shot up.
Yeah, that's right. And then just started talking about Black Lives Matter, and it's like, what's that got to do with the people that were shot, in the nightclub? Like,
yeah, of course, Black Lives Matter, and we all agree with I think the premises of which the movement, started out with, and blah 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 kind of thing. But man, I mean, what if they? It occurred to me, like, would they protest a Holocaust memorial erection or something like that? My goodness, like, where do you draw the line here, right?
I don't think they would draw a line. They have no interest in building bridges. In fact, their whole reason for their existence would cease to exist if they did. So their interest, don't think so. I don't think there was ever anything really reasonable about them.
Yeah, I think there was.
They had some perceptions, but those perceptions don't match to reality. And again, we're coming back to postmodernism because they are turning a deaf ear to facts that and in favor of a narrative. And that's just the biggest problem I have with Black Lives Matter. They say a lot of things, but don't.
But they drew attention to facts that we might not have, correlated otherwise with statistics and examples. That
Like
kind of
what?
thing, right? Like, I'm not taking a side here. I'm just saying that there's some legitimate concerns, I think, obviously with racism and particularly the African American community, and there's unquestionably in my mind that racism still exists. Unquestionably.
Well, of course it exists. No one's arguing it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I just take issue when people say it's systemic. Because
I don't.
Systemic means it's in law. Systemic means that there's an actual effort on the part of institutions of power to act racist, and I don't agree with that. I don't think that exists. It's never been demonstrated. I mean, there used to be. There's no question. You get the Jim Crow laws were definitely systemic racism. No question. They're gone. It's gone.
Residual racism.
Now you're left with individuals being racist.
Yes.
That's a very different thing.
Well, and just because a law has changed doesn't mean that society necessarily catches up to that law right away.
That's true.
I think that's fair.
But again, we're dealing with individuals.
Still, systematic racism in the sense of a social system as opposed to a government system. It depends on what you want to call a system, right?
Well, that's my first question. What does it mean when someone says
when you
systematic?
say social system, undoubtedly racism still exists. Duh. I mean,
no one's arguing it doesn't exist.
It's in your bloody face every day how, right?
But then you get that, people of color can't be racist because, Well, that's not exactly helpful either.
No, it's not.
It shuts down to we haven't got common ground, right? I have no common ground with such people.
I mean, contemplating what they're saying is worth contemplating. It's a thought-provoking, okay, so you're the dominant group, and to call us something like a cracker doesn't mean the same thing as to call, an African-American, and I'm using African-American.
It depends on the situation.
Pardon me?
It depends on the situation, doesn't it?
Not really.
Yeah.
Just the word, it's yes, on the situation, but also in the power of the word, right? Like more of a linguistic, I guess, perspective, communications perspective, right? Like that word doesn't have near the impact as as the N-word does. So I get that. Right?
But that's the thing. It's the
worth
recipient.
contemplating,
It's the
that's all.
recipient.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worth contemplating.
Yeah,
But in general,
absolutely.
I find that people need to be a little more thicker skinned.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
And I would never use the N-word myself.
Same.
Except in unless I really, really knew that this person was going to take it in, a jovial way.
I don't
some black guy would.
Probably the only time I would use it is if I had to actually define it or something like that, right?
No, yeah, well.
Yeah.
It's like saying the word cunt. There you go. I'm going to
because
define it.
You silly cunt, or I could say, when I use the word cunt, I'm referring to dictionary definitions elsewhere, outside of North America.
Oh, you're a dictionary cunt user.
Yes, I am. Well,
I
because
see.
Man, I used to fucking hate that word, and
it's conditioning.
I still cringe, but now I've had
so do
a
I actually. I actually cringe saying it. I do that. In fact, I say it because I cringe, and I'm trying to get myself to stop cringing at it.
Yeah. I have a friend who oh no, this is our word, we should reclaim it and this kind of thing, right? So
absolutely.
But yeah, for a long time
it's just the word.
Don't say that word around me. That's disgusting. And now I'm like, okay, I get that it means something different elsewhere in the world. And I wasn't ignorant of that fact either before, but
that's why I'm trying to reprogram my brain so that I'm not uncomfortable when it comes up.
Yeah, or at least not uncomfortable in certain situations where it would be, surely one wouldn't want to beak off at that, at a inappropriate location, but among us kind of thing, like obviously we can talk
in a bar
about
in Harlem. In a biker bar in Harlem.
What?
In a biker bar in Harlem.
No, I was thinking more like, if I was stuck in traffic and the window was open, and move your ass, you silly cunt. That wouldn't.
Oh, that'd be all right.
Well, no,
I think
I'd
it would be
kind
better.
of embarrassed at my own language. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's amazing when you think about it. Why? It's just a word. Why do we have that response to it? Even though, even just thinking about the word to yourself, it's hard. And so how did that conditioning happen? And can that? It's just a part of your hardwiring. Well, not hardwiring. It's actually firmware. It can be altered, right? It's not totally hard, but it's one of these taboo things that society has taught you not to do.
Yeah.
My brother was talking about incest the other day, and he's changing his position on that because incest is really just a moral position. There's no real, from an objective standpoint, incest is between adults, of course. There is no grounds for thinking of it as being taboo. It's just something that society has said this is, immoral, even though, I think we have to fight against moral laws. I mean, laws that are based purely on morals.
Reconsider that whole issue was the pervasiveness of, I guess it was test tube babies in New York or something like that, where it turned out that a lot of people were. Yeah, I mean, first of all, I don't have a sibling, so I have no, I have no understanding of that, and from what I understand of my friends that have siblings, they're like, ugh, right? Second of all, what made me reconsider that whole issue was the pervasiveness of, I guess it was test tube babies in New York or something like that, where it turned out that a lot of people were meeting each other and like there's been a generation of essentially test tube babies, right? And in a condensed area, and not to mention the fact that one of the doctors was contributing to the pool, shall we say.
Yeah.
And so siblings, half siblings would end up meeting each other and falling in love and that kind of thing, right? And I'm like, that's a tough one. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a tough one.
Because, like incest, ooh, ick. But then on the other hand, like if you have no idea that you're actually brother and sister until you delve into things, and you've had, I don't know, you've maybe been together 5 years and you're about to get married. That's
and then
that's
you get,
a very different way of looking at things, right?
Yeah, it makes for an interesting moral problem.
Yeah,
and that's exactly why I think if it's only a moral issue, there's really no, because morality is individualized. I mean, we all have different. We all have obviously commonalities. I mean, you don't kill anybody, or, you don't go Dexter on people.
Yeah.
But it's these gray areas that we differ. Yeah, not today. Well, yeah, on this in rush hour maybe.
Kind of tired, Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just kidding.
Go all
just
Hannibal.
Kidding.
I'd start calling you Hannibal. But these if it's just a moral thing. I mean, if there was some problem with if it became a problem in terms of gene pool variation, that might be something that needs to be looked at. But if it's just a moral thing, that's something that you need to start jettisoning. And it's just like a blasphemy law. That's just a moral law. There's no real crime being committed.
Yeah.
Get rid of it, because one person's blasphemy is another person's free speech.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I totally agree. Yeah.
Anyway, so I guess time to go to bed and
yep. Any other things we want to talk about?
I don't think so.
No.
There was some resignations. Doctors in St. Boniface Hospital. Remember the Catholic body which runs the St. Boniface Hospital in Winnipeg stacked the board of governor. I don't know if it's board of governors. The board that runs the hospital. They put 10 new board members on in there, and then called for a revote. And of course, you know which way the vote's going to go on assisted dying.
Wow. Yeah.
And so two clinicians have resigned their positions there, because they're now, of course, being a Catholic hospital, they have a tendency to not want to do that on the premises, no matter what the doctors want. And so this means that people who want to access assisted dying have to be transported, probably to General Hospital in Winnipeg. And that can introduce undue extra suffering on people, obviously.
As we saw in that case in BC.
In Vancouver, yeah.
Oh, that was just so heartbreaking.
Yeah, there's no excuse for it, and I think governments need to step in. I'd prefer it at the federal level to say no, all healthcare institutions need to pass on requests for assistance in dying, regardless whether they're religious hospital or not. If you don't, you're no longer a religious hospital. You just became secular. There is precedence for that in Saskatchewan, so that is doable. Just get rid of them.
Well, the more they beak off, the more people, rise to the call of let's make education and medicine secular. So just keep yapping.
Let's just make medicine secular.
Medicine and education.
But get rid of religion-based hospitals.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
And education. Oh, I see. Yeah. We need to get rid of that. We need to
keep talking.
No public money for any religious educational institution. No public money to any hospital unless they agree to abide by the standards of care set out in the Canada Health Act and abide by the law of the land.
Yeah. And I suspect a great majority of Catholics would even disagree with the stance.
Yeah, I think they do.
Yeah. So they're just this minor but loud voice.
They certainly disagree on birth control.
Yeah, well, they're loud, but they're the minority,
In the Catholic, they're a minority in Catholicism.
Like I said, even a lot of Catholics are on board with, obviously, reproductive control and the right to dignity and that kind of thing. So these, voices that purport to speak for Catholics are
Oh,
very
yeah,
much
yeah.
a minority. They just get the goddamn media time.
I mean the buttocks and cassocks.
The buttocks and what?
Buttocks and cassocks.
What does that mean?
You know, the asses in cassocks.
Cassocks?
You know,
Spell it.
A cassock. You know, COSSOCK.
What does it mean?
CAS. A cassock. That's what priests wear.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Kind of grew up in a secular.
I'm trying to
family.
find something pejorative that rhymes with cassock. Happy Canada Day, whatever you're doing. Drink lots. And just enjoy the July 4th holiday as well if you're American. Don't blow yourself up. And don't be shooting your guns in the air.
Yes, happy Canada, 150th Canada celebration.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing this year. Very, very cool. And yes, happy 4th of July to our American friends and listeners.
Yeah. I guess we're out. I don't have the closing anymore up there. I took it out of the...
Oh, crappy.
So,
Okay.
anyway, so we're just going to close it off. And say
Okay.
goodnight. So, say
Good
goodnight.
night.
Good night. Good.
Bye.
Bye-bye.